Hey everybody, Randy Chafee, your host of Building Wins Live, special edition day, Thursday. Doesn't get any better than this, does it? Hey, today we've got some awesome guests to chat about the industry, and you're going to love the energy and some discussion on where 2020 and before, and 2020 and after. I could talk to these guys for about 5 hours about this, but we'll keep it a little shorter than that. Anyways, Mason and Adam from Best Buy Metals, and they're going to be with us in just a second, so don't go away. Hey, fellas.
Hey, Randy, how you doing?
I'm doing well, and yourself?
Great, excellent.
Awesome. Looking good with the beautiful red and white of Best Buy Metals. Love it.
That's how we do.
That's it. Well, thank you very much for being on today. I've told a few people that I've talked about you guys being on today. You and us three have never met personally, but I've known Best Buy Metals for years. And I love and follow what you guys do, especially on social media. And you're very technologically based, and a lot of those things that just kind of falls into my wheelhouse, if you will, that I really love. So I appreciate you guys taking some time to be with me today. So
Great to be here.
But before we start, I'd like to start. Whoever wants to go first, Adam or Mason. So I guess Adam, you are the Chief Operating Officer, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right.
And Mason, you're the Director of Marketing and Business Development. Have I got that semi-correct?
That's right. I've been called a lot worse, so that sounds good.
And the fact that I actually wrote that down and could read what I wrote is amazing. But Adam or Mason, whoever wants, but I'd like if you could both take 2-3 minutes, whatever you need each, and just give us a little background of who you guys are.
Sure, I'll take the mic first.
Kick it off.
So, Adam Clark. I grew up in northern Vermont. I grew up about 5 minutes from the Canadian border, so I was way up there, and decided to come down to Tennessee to go to college, and right here in Cleveland, Tennessee, actually. And when I graduated, most of my buddies were still hanging out in school, and I decided to get a real job while they were still at school, and that's what landed me here at Best Buy Metals. And I've been here for 12 years in April. It's been really exciting to see the company go from what it was in 2009 to where we are now. And I've got a young family. I've got a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, a 1-year-old, and excited to be able to establish my family here in Cleveland, Tennessee, and with the Best Buy Metals family behind me.
Nice. Perfect. Mason?
Yeah. So my name is Mason Burchette, and I grew up in the South, Southern native. Grew up in the Carolinas, lived in North Carolina, and started my career at Best Buy Metals in our Asheville, North Carolina location. Worked out of there for several years and wound up kickstarting our facility in Greenville, South Carolina. I was the general manager there for a couple of years, and did some business development, interim management work in our Charlotte facility when we started that some years later, and then eventually moved over here to work in the corporate role in Cleveland, Tennessee. Also have a family. We're all family men, women around here. We love Cleveland, Tennessee. It's a nice small town to settle down in. So I've jumped around a couple of states in the South, but I do love the Tennessee area. I plan on staying here the long term.
Perfect. So where is Cleveland, Tennessee?
It's north of Chattanooga, just north of Chattanooga.
Okay.
South of Knoxville.
Yeah.
So it's right in between kind of two of the bigger cities on eastern Tennessee. Yeah.
Okay. Knoxville's got a nice little square downtown there that's kind of fun to visit.
Yeah.
Well, great. So tell us, how many locations do you guys have right now?
Yeah. Right now we have 6 divisions, or five physical locations here in Cleveland, Tennessee. We've got our local office that services kind of the southeastern Tennessee region, and then we also have a national sales team which partners with other manufacturers to distribute materials all over the country. So we're managing 6 divisions right now, about 120 employees.
Nice. So how old? So you've been Adam since 2009, I think you said.
That's right.
And Mason, how long have you been with the company?
I've only had to endure about 7.5 years of service now. Okay. I came on board in 2013. This was my second job. I think I was barely 18 when I started here.
Right.
26 now.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. So it is. Would you say is that's interesting, because I'm taking it based on Adam, your when you graduated from college, you're reasonably young too.
I'm 34. Yeah.
34. I did that math, but I wasn't sure I did it right. I'm old, so.
Sometimes I don't get it right. It's my own birthday, so yeah.
Well, as I told you earlier, I tell people, and I have it on my LinkedIn profile and stuff, is 4+ decades of experience. Because I want to make sure people know that this gray hair, I didn't just dye it. I've been around a while.
You earned it, right?
I've earned it. But 40+ years sound like a long time. Man, it sounds like a long time. So 4+ decades sounds better to me.
There you go.
So how old is Best Buy?
Yeah, Best Buy Metals was founded in 2002. So we're coming up on 20 years right now. Yeah.
Okay. So, and I'm familiar with what you guys do, but being in the industry forever. But obviously, roll form. Give us a little, maybe, and then we'll get into some really other interesting industry stuff. But here's an advertisement, commercial time. What I know you roll metal. I assume you roll ag panels and standing seam and probably some R panel. Give me whoever wants to give us the minute and a half advertisement for Best Buy Metals.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about being the champion for the through fasten panel, because that's really what we do. That's the majority of our business, because we really see such value with that product now. Even though we do standing seam and we do the decorative shingles, I saw that you had done an ad for I think it was Rozier shingles just earlier.
We were on a race car with them.
Yeah. But we really focus on educating the consumers on the through fasten panels. We talk about the lifelong screws that are now available through the system, and why there's so much value in the through fasten panel. So if we had to talk about our core business, that's definitely what it looks like. And our value really comes in being able to educate, inform, and give our customers confidence that they're going to get a product from a supplier that's going to weather the test of time and add more value over the life of the product than anything else that's out there.
Perfect. So let's an area that everybody talks about. Not sure, and I mentioned earlier we was talking pre-show. I'm as you guys I can tell I'm a very forward thinker, but you can learn a lot from the past, right? And 2020 was probably 10 years worth of past, right? I mean, it was a lot. How did that affect you guys? Because obviously what I do as a manufacturer's rep agency, servicing the industry we're all in, we all were essential, if you will, which I always hate that word, right? Because I think Bill and Mabel in small town America trying to feed your family is pretty essential, right?
Sure.
But so never been a big fan of that term, but be that as it may, let's face it served us well, right? I mean, business was good. Business was great for us all. But tell us about 2020 at Best Buy. I mean, how did you negotiate? And we can take whatever time you want on this, because I'd like to then see where that took us and leads us into 2021. So that's kind of my mindset here. So
sure. Yeah. And it's funny you bring up that word essential, because we floated that word a little bit too. And what does that mean from a metal roofing manufacturer standpoint? And we actually had a unique bit of an anomaly with experiences in 2020. Of course, everybody felt the effects of the pandemic. Right. Here in the greater Chattanooga area, though, we actually simultaneously experienced the effects of some catastrophic tornadoes that really devastated a large portion of our communities. And so we were quickly able to demonstrate just how essential the metal roofing manufacturing was to the economy, because people didn't have a roof over their head overnight. They didn't have a roof over their head, and they were looking to local providers to be able to help get them in the dry. And because we're here locally and we locally manufacture, we were able to stop our regular deliveries, dispatch our drivers out into the community, and donate some materials and help get people in the dry, so they could worry about finding their stuff or helping their loved ones that got hurt. Or there were several people lost their lives, and they needed to worry about more than the roof over their head. And so we were able to step in and do what we do best, and help get people in the dry, and then work with them. And of course, their insurance companies as the next weeks and months followed, to help literally rebuild our community again.
Yeah, and we ended up doing a couple of things. If nothing else, to speak about the culture and the attitude of our company. our owner, Isaac Libby, was the first one out in the trucks after the tornadoes came through with relief. We've got a couple of guys here that work as maintenance and handyman around our Cleveland office, and they loaded our trucks down with tarps, anything that they could get to offer immediate relief to the people in need. And having leadership at our company that represents that type of service to the community is really rewarding, and that feels really good to be a part of that company. We partnered with a couple of local water providers, Crystal Geyser.
Yeah.
They donated a bunch of pallets of water for us, and we distributed those in the community. So yeah, that was a great opportunity for us to prove that we were not only essential to get people the materials they needed, but also we were good community partners. And it's nice to work for a company where that is one of your core values.
Yeah, that's awesome. That speaks a lot for the as you said, I think the culture of Best Buy Metals, right?
Yeah. And another thing that I experienced in 2020, and this is probably going to be a little bit controversial. So, Randy, bear with me as I kind of work through my thought process.
Work away.
In 2020, also in 2018, when Section 232 steel tariffs came on, the market was significantly disrupted, right? And I don't like passing price increases on to anybody, but I do like a little bit of chaos in the industry, because Best Buy Metals has proven time after time when there's a disruption, whether it be 2008, 2009, with the economy struggles there, or whether it be with the steel tariffs or with a pandemic, we are willing to adapt and to adjust and to do all the hard work that it takes to come out successful on the other side. Not only does that help refine us, but it also reveals to the industry who's willing to put the legwork in to come out better on the other side and who is not going to make it. So I actually kind of like the struggle, the chaos a little bit that we've seen. And we're experiencing that right now with, steel prices, lumber prices, and all building materials going up. I don't like the fact that things are more expensive, but I live for the fact that I have the opportunity to out hustle and out grind everybody else, coming up with strategies and processes and implementations that help set us apart. And technology has become a huge part of that.
I like that, out hustle, because it caused me to think about the fact that it's like in a broader sense and probably a more applicable sense, what you just said is a thought that I think about sometimes is you don't want issues as a supplier, right, to your customer, but sometimes that's the first and only time you get to really prove to that customer why they should be dealing with you. That's right. Is when something goes bad, something goes wrong, something is disrupted, as you said. Because if everything's going great for everybody, you're just like everybody to some degree. Right. But that's where what do they say? The cream rises to the top, or whatever they talk about.
Right.
When those disruptions happen, it gives you a chance to shine. And like you said, with the markets, with the tornado, it's obvious Best Buy is one to be a good corporate neighbor. Right? Another way of putting it.
Yeah. In 2020, it was kind of easy to be, everyone was doing well, right? I mean, everybody had opportunities. Everybody's really doing well. But as we got to the end of 2020 and into 2021, if you didn't secure your supply chain, if you didn't modify your pricing model, if you didn't work hard to retain your team members, because staffing is a big problem for a lot of people right now, then you're going to have problems that you didn't have in 2020. Well, right now we're thriving through all of those changes because we prepared for them and we were thoughtful and we dedicated time and resources to overcome the challenges that we had some foresight to know about and to see as they came to us.
Yeah, and that's what not a lot of people understand, that that's what goes into a business model. And they ask, why are you making this decision now? Why are you doing this right now? And it's because Best Buy Metals has always prided itself in not being transactional and first taking the customer after a transaction, but building long-term customer relationships and partnerships, and doing the same internally with our team members. And so it requires us to be diligent and to be forward thinking and to plan ahead, and sometimes to make hard decisions that are hard to understand from the outside looking in. But fast forward a few months, we can see that there was a purpose for them and it's played out the way we anticipated and we were prepared.
Yeah. So talk about prepared. I think that the rule of thumb would be nobody could have been prepared necessarily for a quote pandemic, right? But but how, I assume you guys were as taken by surprise as much as anybody else, that came so quickly out. It seemed to just almost, we heard about things, but I don't think any of us expected it to go. It literally seemed like almost overnight, right? It was, things were out there and you hear some things, but it's easy to go, that's just whatever. Then all of a sudden, boom, I mean, the rug got yanked out from the world, basically. It's hard to prepare for that particular circumstance, but it sounds like Best Buy, and I'm assuming you guys prepare, I don't know what I want to say, prepare to be prepared, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, I think, it's funny because Mason and I were talking about this the other day. We were actually working a trade show, a log and timber show down in Duluth, Georgia, back in March. I think it was end of March last year. And it was the first time where we had people coming up to our booths, not wanting to shake hands or bumping elbows. And we kind of got a sense that something was starting to develop. And the next week I traveled to our Charlotte facility and I worked a week there. We had just kind of launched a facility there. And when I came back to the corporate office here in Cleveland, Tennessee, it had kind of the pandemic had kind of become very, very visible, and so we basically had to stop everything that we were doing from a planning standpoint. Our operations we're still trying to figure out how to work there, but we rolled out a plan. How do we retain our people? How do we keep our people getting paychecks? How do we keep supplying materials to our customers? So we rolled out policy changes, social distancing. We put up contact barriers. We did cleaning processes and strategies that were recommended by the CDC. And we said, how can we find a way to continue to offer the reliability to our staff and to our customers in a safe environment? And so, it wasn't, it was definitely reactionary, and maybe that's where my role comes in. I do tend to be a little bit more of the reactionary thinker, and Mason is a bit more of the proactive thinker, and he's kind of thinking ahead, and he's thinking of ways where we can change and develop our model to complement what's to come. And I have maybe a bit more responsibility on dealing with where we are and dealing with current circumstances and being able to move and to ebb and to adapt to things that we didn't predict. So having a balance between being reactionary and being proactive, I think is a great way for us to make sure that we're planning ahead, but we're still in the present as well.
Right. So you guys probably had some long days, long evenings, sleepless nights, trying to figure that whole thing out, huh?
Well, we said we like to hustle earlier. I have a general contractor buddy who's in town. He works in the area. And he said, doesn't matter what day I drive by Best Buy Metals, your car's there. It doesn't matter what day I end my day, your car's still there. He's like, when do you ever sleep? And that's just part of it, part of it right now for Mason and I. We're younger guys, and we're really, one of the reasons we're so energized about the industry and about what we do is we're going to be doing this for the next 30 plus years. And we want to continue to make it a successful and growing and innovative thing. So sometimes that demands putting the extra time in and working the long days, but we think right now it's worth it. Absolutely.
Well, and along that line is, it's not really hard work when you love what you do.
That's right.
When you're working with people that you enjoy, which obviously you guys too do. And if that carries through the balance of your company, which I'm sure it does, you're working with people you enjoy and you're all on the same mission, kind of headed for the same goal line, if you will. And this is a fun industry. That's why, I had mentioned earlier, I got 2 or 3 years into this industry, and there is zero end game, because why would I not want to do something that I love every single day of my life, right?
Right.
What would I do? Drink coffee every day? At some point that everything else gets old. There's something about building business and growing business and working with people and, building relationships. That's just fun. So.
Yeah, and we look at it the same way, Randy, both internally and externally. We don't even consider ourselves, we don't just make metal roofing, right? We consider ourselves a customer service based company, and we manufacture metal roofing to pay for it, right? And so that's why we have deployed other outlets that don't necessarily benefit us or generate any kind of revenue. but we feel like they're valuable resources. For example, we kickstarted, believe it or not, it's been almost a year and a half now, Metal Roofing University, which is a resource we use, a podcast we put out, a blog that we post on, to give homeowners and installers a resource to reference, to be able to familiarize themselves with metal roofing and make informed decisions. And those aren't things that necessarily directly, impact our day-to-day business, but it's something we can do to give value back to the industry.
Yeah, that makes it. I think you're 100% right with that, and that gives, you do it for the right reasons, because you want to give back to the industry, you want to give back to the community that's been good to you, but it also it's got to drastically set you apart from a lot of your competitors, right? That those things make a big difference to people, homeowners, contractors, people that are saying, who do I want to buy my metal from? Because like you said, that was a good point, Mason, was that the metal just happens to be what you're supplying. With your concept, you could be Best Buy, turnip trucks. I don't know, right? It wouldn't matter, right? It really doesn't matter.
It's true.
The product is simply the end game of being customer friendly, customer centric, customer oriented, right?
Yeah, and our message to our team, and we do happen to sell metal roofing, so it does relate to that very often. But our message to our team is the customer should leave so excited that they can't help but go and tell their sphere of influence about their interactions with Best Buy Metals. And they're not only so excited, but they think to themselves, why can't every company be like that? Why can't every company offer that type of service or that type of technical support or that type of hands-on training when they leave our facility? I mean, that's our goal for customers to really have to reflect on how can any other company be as successful as they should be without acting like Best Buy Metals does?
So Raving Fans is a book. I want to say Ken Blanchard, but I might be mistaken. But there's a book called Raving Fans that I read years ago, and then I reread it. Actually, I bought several copies and gave to some people once a year or two ago, but talked about exactly what you said is satisfied customers will still leave you. Mm-hmm. If they're satisfied. You think about it, if you're satisfied with the restaurant, you'll probably keep going back until there's another restaurant. Then you'll try it. And if you become a raving fan of that restaurant, you're no longer going to where you're satisfied, right? So our goal needs to be, there it is right there. Wes, you are a genius. Excellent book. If you haven't read that one, it's a very good book. And it talks about that, is how to create not just satisfied people. Best Buy's pretty good. They're all right. We like them. We like them. They'll still leave. Mm-hmm. They could leave. Not maybe will, but they could. Yeah. Raving Fans is what you're talking about. And when you said that, I loved what you brought up, because that's all should be all our goals, right? Is like almost, and we would never want it to be this way, but almost like the customer will try harder to stay with you than you're even trying to keep them.
Yeah,
right.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's the Chick-fil-A effect, and which I'll gladly brag on Chick-fil-A. I love some Chick-fil-A. I'm a raving fan of theirs for sure. But the name Best Buy Metals doesn't have anything to do with our pricing model. It has everything to do with our customer service experience. And so we train our sales reps, our warehouse team, our truck drivers, wherever they are, whatever position it is, to think, how can I make this experience, this moment I'm having with the customer, a unique customer service experience? How can I do something that they'll walk away from thinking that was impressive, and I want to tell somebody about the service I just got? And that's what Best Buy Metals means to us. It's not you'll get the best price here. It's that you'll get the best experience. This will be the best buy for your metal roofing systems.
And we spend a lot of time talking about value, because pricing can be one thing. And I don't know, I guess metal roofing would be considered a commodity, especially in Eastern Tennessee where there's so many roll formers. But, we talk about value, not in terms of dollars, but in terms of the ratio between how much you pay and the satisfaction you get in a product. And we believe that the higher we can drive satisfaction and customer service experience, the greater the value. Now, sometimes that costs a little bit more. It costs us a little bit more to train our team, But that's just another part of being innovative and being forward thinking, is people aren't making decisions based on their wallets alone anymore. Maybe that was the case in years past, but now people want convenience. That's why Amazon's so successful. They want the easiest experience.
Why I bought a car from Carvana.
Right, Carvana. You know, how can we make the experience as seamless, as fluid, as comfortable, and add the greatest value to the customer? And we think by serving them well above having the lowest price is the best model to follow for us personally.
Well, no, that makes sense, because you think about it, and I've talked about this before with folks. Price, if you're going to be the price guy, and that's all you have, there's a funny thing about price, right? There is never no bottom. There's never a bottom. And if you only have somebody's business based on price, you only have orders, right? You don't have a lifetime customer. You don't have a raving fan, because you only have their business until Billy Bob down the street lowers his, in your case, the metal lowers his price a penny a foot. That's all you have, right? So you have to have all those other things. And I always look at the triad, right? Price, quality, service. And people always say price, quality, service. And I just did it. I'm trying to train myself to say you service, quality, price, because in my mind, that's the way it really works in most people's mind. And I'd love to hear you speak to that. I think customers, we're all trained as customers, because we're all customers, right? We're always training to be the first and only objection we have sometimes is, wow, I can buy that cheaper somewhere else.
Yeah.
It's always, that's our first go-to. But I don't think most of us, not everybody, but I don't think most of us always buy that way. Do you agree or disagree?
Yeah, I think it has changed a lot. I think back when I started in 2009, I interacted with a lot more people who were buying based off the lowest linear foot price in the metal world. That's you get calls and how much is your panels or your products per linear foot. I saw that quite a bit in my first years with the company, but it's absolutely transformed. How quick can I get the materials? What type of steel? Is it domestic steel? Is it domestically coated? What type of paint system is that? How long is the system going to last? These are questions that are asked much more often than pricing nowadays. And some of that is because we proactively share information through Metal Roofing University. And if you come into our showrooms, you'll see information about our paint systems and why we choose to use the paint providers that we use, and why we choose to have domestic paint systems only. That really gets people asking questions outside of just the price. They really get a better understanding that there's more than just a price game that's going on. It doesn't matter if you pay 10% less for a panel that's going to fade in color in 2 years. You want a forest green roof that turns lime green in 2 years? Absolutely not. And that's not good for the customer, but it's also not good for our industry, because a big lime green roof is a billboard telling everybody who drives by it, metal roofing is not good. It's not high quality. It's not going to do the things that they're promoting that it will do. So we're really intentional to get high quality products out there and help the customers know that should be the theme of most of the conversations. Are you getting the service and the reliability and the confidence from your provider? And are they going to give you the quality that their service is boasting about?
Yeah, we get, or a lot of times internally, when I'm talking to other marketing people, they'll ask, what are you doing to recon on your competition? And the answer is easy. Nothing. We don't care what the competition's doing. And this is why we look at it 3 different ways. You can either create a wave, you can ride a wave, or you can get crushed by a wave. And so when everybody's playing the price game, it only gives you 2 options. You can ride the wave while everybody's playing the same price game, or you can get crushed by it when you're no longer able to compete the same way everybody else is. But when you decide to be a company that is not just price focused, not just trying to get the lowest price out there, but is providing resources and information and innovative technology and services that are unique to the industry, like that we're trying to do here at Best Buy Metals, you have the opportunity to create a wave. And that disrupts the market, which is exactly what we're trying to do. And it creates attention. And so Best Buy Metals is over here jumping up and down saying, hey, look at us. And that's attractive to people. And so we don't have to play that price game anymore, because
some people,
it's attractive to some people.
Some people don't like it.
It's attractive to homeowners for sure that want to self-educate. And so they come to us because we're creating that wave. And so we have an opportunity to shine in those moments.
Awesome. I like that create your own wave that's awesome. I made a note to myself. I like that. See, I learned many things today, my friend.
Well, and the reason that some people don't like it when you create this disruption or you create this wave is they basically have 2 options. We've narrowed it down to them. because we're trying to create the biggest wave, and they'll either ride it and follow what we do and we'll still be the industry leader, or they'll get crushed under it.
Right.
And people don't like that very much.
True.
Exactly. Well, and that comes back to my parting thoughts on this, is we're kind of getting towards the end of our life here, but is a lot of people don't like change. They don't like to adapt. They don't like to. I just I buy metal in X and I sell it for Y, and I take money to the bank every week, and that's what I want to do, right? And they don't want to innovate. They don't want to do what's better for the industry, better for the customer, better for their business. And so when somebody like you guys create a wave, like you said, either they don't know how to ride the wave or to circumvent that wave a little bit and change it in their direction. So the option for a lot of folks, I suppose, is to fall off the wave, right? I mean, and the only way to fall off the wave in a lot of cases, which is a killer, is to fall back to, well, I can sell it for cheaper though.
Sure.
Right. And
Sure.
that's going to drill down to nowhere land real fast, right?
Yeah, because eventually when you're playing that game, you're forced to compromise materials to get prices down, manufacturing equipment to get prices down, and you dilute your product to the point where it's no longer attractive to the market. So you're killing yourself there in the long run.
So not only are you not making the money you need to succeed and grow, you're actually moving in the opposite direction, which is a scary place for people to be.
Exactly. And it's like, I think about with contractors, for example, that are going to do work for you, and you take the lowest bid and then it's tremendously lower than everybody else. That probably should tell you something.
No doubt.
But the second thing, I want this service provider to make a profit, because I want to make a living at what I do. He or she should make a living at what he or she does. But also, if I have an issue, the likelihood of them coming and resolving that for me is much greater if they actually made some money.
That's right.
But if I twisted every cent out of them to where they've got nothing left, they literally lost money doing this project, whatever it is, they're probably not coming back.
Yeah.
Or they're going to come back very cheaply, or do it. They're not going to make sure I'm satisfied. So, and
we see that a lot in our industry, which is we actually offer business coaching for our contractors. That's something new and unique that we do, to, again, at no value to, I mean, we don't make anything from it. We don't charge anybody, but our local contractors, we offer a course to help them understand their business model and their finances and what they can do and how they can create a sustainable business model. And that's been a really great opportunity for us to have our contractors avoid these types of catastrophic agreements.
Yeah, that's awesome. Closing thing before we jump out of here. Wes, could you bring Zach's last comment back up, if you could? A good buddy of mine, he was actually on my show this week earlier. He and I worked together. I'm still with Marco Industries, but he worked with Marco for years up in the upper Midwest. But he said, create the wave, love it. Being the wave is easier than being the surfer riding it.
True.
It's kind of like the hammer or the nail, right? That little song, But thanks for that input, Zach. So, guys, I know I'd asked you earlier. You said that you'd be so kind as to hang out and do a little 10, 15 minutes of added wins, because the last thing, I kind of saved this because we had such great conversation and it goes quickly. I wanted to talk about 2021 in particular. And how you set yourselves up, particularly for 2021. We talked about some of it, but maybe if you've got 10 minutes, 15 at the max, I would love to maybe drill down on that and anything else that we didn't touch on, because my friend Wes, a producer, he always has this should have asked questions that he always talks about a lot. Everybody, there it is. He loves that. Should ask questions. Everybody asks the frequently asked question, but nobody thinks about should ask questions. So if you want to think, if you have one now, fine. If you don't, in the added wins, I would love to know the one question that I did not bring up today that I probably should have. What should I have brought up with Adam and Mason? I think there's probably something that I missed, and I'd love to hear what that is. So, but with that, thank you very much for being on the live today. I greatly appreciate it. I love what you guys do, and hopefully this was enjoyable for you as it was for me. I think it was very informative. People are going to love what you guys had to say, and I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having us on, Randy. We appreciate you a lot.
Absolutely. That's it. There you go, folks. We'll see you in a few minutes. Wes will pop you back in the green room. Go have a grape or something. Anyway, so that's it. The boys from Best Buy Metal, Adam and Mason. I hope you enjoyed that. These guys, I knew they would bring some heat, some good stuff, good company, good people, good culture. Tennessee, how can you not love it? Anyways, so we're going to chat with them and look for that either tomorrow or the added win either tomorrow or Monday whenever Wes pops that out there. But next Tuesday, we've got another special guest, somebody that's been a friend of mine for, I'm going to say 20 years now, and now is the president and CEO and part owner of MWI Components, Ben Nystrom. Ben and I go way back. I'm going to announce when Ben's on next week because if you're a trial attorney, you want to manage, or a crisis manager, you want to manage your crisis. And so I'm going to bring up now so that Ben doesn't bring it up that he did invite me to his wedding 20 years ago, and I didn't go. So I don't even remember why I didn't go, but I didn't because he brings that up about every 3 or 4 years when we're together. But anyways, Ben, MWI Components is a leading premier manufacturer in the post-frame industry, post-frame building components. I've been blessed to be with him 20 plus years. And like I said, Ben's, we went from fellow reps to he being sales manager and now a part owner of the company and president and CEO of sales and marketing. And so we're going to have a great conversation next week again, about the industry, state of the industry, where MWI's been, where it's going, where we see things. And looking forward to that. So that'll be next week on Tuesday at noon live. So don't put it down. Don't forget it. There he is. So that's it for today. I appreciate you being on. Share it. If you ever have any comments, make sure to let me know. Shoot me an email, shoot me a text. Anybody you'd like to see on. If you have any kind of information you'd like to talk about that we haven't covered, I'm always open to look for some new and additional guests. I'm trying to bring some different values, some different people from different parts of our industry. So let me know if there's anything that we want to talk about in the future. So until then, I'm going to get out of here for now. But thank you for coming. Thank you for staying. And remember, you get one go around. So live it, love it, and own it. And make today your best day ever. Until tomorrow. Cheers, y'all.